The story began with the appearance of a terrifying figure, the immortal king. He declared that the Knight of Light was truly worthy of being called his rival. A warrior, gripping his sword tightly, confirmed that the rumors were true. The title Nightmare of the Continent perfectly suited the leader of the evil spirits. Yet, he insisted that as long as the forces of light stood united, they would never surrender. At that moment, the leader of the undead emerged before him. Without hesitation, the righteous Knight of Light swung his weapon. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a young man, the protagonist, was raising a soda to his mouth, watching everything unfold on a screen. He wondered aloud whether they were fighting too much. Closing his eyes, he muttered that this was still just a performance. The guy, introducing a strange concept, all of the characters involved, including the poor guy watching from his room, were actually him. The protagonist, confused, couldn't understand how things had reached this point. Time passed, and a tall building stood visible under the daylight. A knock at the door broke the silence. A voice greeted him with a simple, "Hello." A man holding a notebook introduced himself as part of the Special Ability Control Bureau, Movement and Investigation Department. He asked if he was Mr. Han Song-hyun. Sweating slightly, Song nodded and confirmed his identity. The man at the door, standing beside the barely open entrance, informed him that if he were ever to awaken, he must report it to the Bureau immediately. With that, they wished him a good day and left. Biting his lip, Song murmured that it had been the first time in 6 months he had spoken to a stranger. As the door closed, he began rummaging through his belongings, muttering that this meant he wouldn't have to open the front door again for another half-year. Squatting down, he added that it had been 2 years since he last stepped outside. Leaning on his knees, he reflected that some might consider him pathetic, others might accuse him of being weak-willed. But moving his legs slightly, he told himself that he was a victim of a distorted world. Suddenly, a news alert blared from the TV. Firefighters were shown battling a blaze at a shopping mall. It was reported that the arsonist was an awakened one who had started the fire just before entering another world. At the mention of awakened, Song's eyes lit up. He recalled how, one by one, people across the world had begun to awaken mysterious powers known as special abilities. As if triggered by his thoughts, a glowing magical seal appeared beneath him. Song explained, as if recalling something he had studied, that after awakening, people were forcibly transported to another world for 24 hours and could only return after fulfilling certain conditions. Suddenly, a bandit figure materialized, hands raised in mock surrender. Song muttered that very few awakened actually returned alive. With his mouth slightly open, he revealed a disturbing trend. Out of fear and desperation, many awakened ones had begun committing senseless crimes before being pulled into the other world. A memory flashed, a powerful explosion echoed in his mind. 2 years ago, he had lost his family and one of his legs due to such awakened persons' crimes. And even courage to ever stand again. Later, while working out and covered in sweat, he paused to wonder why he was doing this, even thought it has no effect at all. Squinting in frustration, he called his efforts pathetic. Lowering his head, he questioned why he was so afraid to go outside. If he just had a little more courage, perhaps something would finally change. Clenching his fists, he whispered that he wanted to escape, to go somewhere. At that moment, his mouth fell open in shock. A voice from the system reported a dimensional inflection point detected. A connection to the Akasha system was being established, his unique skill was awakening. Shaking his head, Song questioned whether this was truly how awakening worked. A screen flashed before him, confirming he had awakened the avatar skill. A 24-hour countdown to dimensional transfer had begun. His eyes widened. Why now? He called it a cruel joke. Leaning back, he listened as the system warned that if he didn't enter the portal in time, he would be transported forcibly. Before he could react, a force pushed him backward. Screaming, he knelt and muttered that return usually took a full year, and since time moved 10 times slower in the other world, it would feel like 10 years. His pupils contracted in fear. and wonders could he even survive that long. Standing up, Song heard the system announce that only 3 minutes remained until transfer. Grabbing his things, he prepared himself for teleportation. But as he lifted one leg, his body trembled. He couldn't even bring himself to step outside, he had neither strength nor skill. Clenching his jaw, he asked aloud how he was going to survive in another world. Then, as he looked at his hand, he realizes, he had a skill. He reflects that if they're talking about skills, there are abilities, right? And wanted to see what kind of power it is. Shouting, he activated the avatar skill. An avatar of himself appeared before him. He raised his hands in shock, it was identical to him. One eye shut reflexively as he saw two matching faces. He thought to himself, these are my images. He touched the avatar, barely believing it was real. A small room materialized in front of him. The avatar, seemingly linked, saw everything Song saw. Placing a hand over his mouth, Song admitted that his head spun while trying to control the avatar. Moving both bodies at the same time was impossible. The system displayed a countdown, 1 minute remaining until transfer. If he didn't enter the portal soon, the transfer would happen by force. Laying his head on the avatar's shoulder, Song muttered that the avatar was useless, just like him. With a sad expression, he whispered that he wished someone else could take his place. The avatar, staring forward seriously, then moved. Without hesitation, the avatar stepped onto the portal. The system confirmed his awakened identity and initiated the transfer sequence. Song stretched out his palms, avatar surrounded by a glowing light. It clenched its fists. System announces beginning of transfer. Laying on the floor, Song cried out, it had worked. Through his sweat, he realized the portal had mistaken the avatar for him. As the portal dissolved, system announced transfer to the Outerica was complete. But then, something went wrong. Song suddenly found himself in a forest. Looking at his hands in disbelief, he asked, why am I here? The clone was supposed to be the one transferred. A ladybug landed nearby as leaves fluttered gently around it. The system calmly informed him that he could return to Earth through the karma store. It also explained that karma could be earned through completing adventures. His current balance, however, was 0. Clenching his jaw in pain, Song realized something chilling, he wasn't there. He was merely seeing through his avatar's eyes. His mouth fell open again. And shouted, this is making him dizzy. And cancels the summon. He collapsed. Seconds later, covering his mouth, he ran to the bathroom. After vomiting, he wiped his lips and muttered that at least he had survived the transfer crisis. Determined to understand his situation, he summoned the avatar again. The avatar reappeared. Looking at it, Song sighed. He was hopeless. What do I even do with this useless ability? He asked no one in particular. Suddenly, bright confetti burst around him. The system congratulated him for achieving a rare feat, returning to Earth without using the karma store. A message appeared on the screen, stating that once per day, he could now return to his previous location through a portal. Song stood frozen, stunned by the unexpected reward. His pupils narrowed in disbelief. System notifs karma increased greatly. Later that evening, loud screams echoed from a tall building. This is impossible, someone cried out. Reflecting on everything that had happened, Song finally spoke. This was how he became the first awakened to return in such a short time. After that, Song, holding his chin, saw that his available karma points were 1.9 million. A karma shop was visible and Song wondered if it was that much just for returning the avatar. And thought that he had received points for 10 years in one go. Magical creatures appeared and it was said that karma is calculated depending on the influence a person has in another world. And good deeds or bad, murders or honest work, it all doesn't matter. A silhouette of a man appeared and an explanation that the accumulated karma can be used to improve abilities or return to Earth. The Song sat down on the couch and asked himself if this was a mistake, and what if they ask him again later. Throwing his hands behind his head, the Song exclaimed that he is not the one who messed up, so it doesn't matter to him. A notification was visible, in which one could find out more about increasing status, and Song said that he was on Earth so returning was pointless. Poking at the screen, Song asked what was in the status increase section. His finger reached for the button for increasing the ability to recovery. Opening his mouth, the Song was surprised by the recovery power. The Song moved his legs and selected an option in the system. Suddenly, a magical glow enveloped the Song's wounded knees. Through the sweat on his face, Song said that he felt something in his legs. A moment later, the Song moved his heel. The veins in his legs were visible, and he noticed that his injury had been healed. Abruptly, Song remembered sitting and watching the explosion and said that the pain in his leg was not just an inconvenience to him, but that this injury marked his farewell to his family. The Song was shown holding crutches and added that it was because of this that he did not leave the room. A magical aura surrounded his lower body and the system exclaimed that his recovery ability had exceeded the standard level and he had also received the super recovery skill, which increases the power of recovery. After some time, the moon was shining brightly in the sky. Song was doing exercises and explained that with the help of the points he received, he increased his karma and was able to heal his leg and added that they had become very strong. Song, smiling, said that he still had a lot of karma left and wondered where to use it. Song thought about improving the skill and tapped the screen. His body was covered in sweat and the Song asked what he could do if he improved his avatar. Song grabbed his chin questioningly. A clone appeared in front of him and Song said that he was a real man, and the avatar asked if he had worked on his body, to which he received the answer that it was all thanks to hard training. It was seen how the two guys happily raised their hands, and Song said that after awakening the avatar, his consciousness was divided into two, which allowed him to move freely. Song, grinning, added that he received a new ability by improving his possessed skills and at the same time, the notification said that he can choose what information will be sent to him. Song pushed his avatar and said that this means that not only will he get rid of dimensional sickness, but he will also not feel pain even if the avatar is hurt. A moment later, Song turned around and opened his mouth wide and exclaimed that he could go to another world while sitting at home and wrapped in a blanket. Song says he could control his avatar just like playing game. Suddenly, 3 avatars appeared, and the Song added that this was not the only change because now there were 3 of them. Squinting his eyes, Song asked if the number of his avatars would increase during the development process and thought that he might get confused, but this wouldn't work so he decided to name them. The guys lowered their heads, repeating each other's movements and said that calling them avatars was not very good, but the thought did not occur to him. Song noticed a coffee cup and ketchup on the table and realized that this was what he needed. Song decided that his avatar was now called Hans and his characteristics appeared. Song looked at another avatar and exclaimed that he would be Heinz, and his characteristics also appeared. Frowning, Song wondered what kind of ability this was and muttered that it was terrible. Squinting, Song wondered if it was time for him to complete the most anticipated quest. It was visible how one of the avatars was surrounded by a magical aura. The guy was holding the trash that had accumulated over the year and exclaimed that it was time to go forward to another world. Suddenly, Hans evaporated into thin air. The avatar, holding out his hand, hid from the sun's rays. Through the sweat on his face, he thought that he was not worried at all. Raising his palm, Song muttered that the mind hub was working normally. Song sharply lowered his eyebrows and thought that Hans must also be in another world. Suddenly, legs surrounded by an unusual aura appeared. Hans, standing in the forest, said that it was night here. A light appeared in the bushes and the avatar said that there seemed to be no one in this peaceful forest at first glance. Suddenly, a menacing animal appeared. An avatar asked how it was possible to appear so suddenly. The animal suddenly rushed towards him. The avatar began to take out a knife from behind his back. The avatar put it in front of him. The animal grabbed the dagger with its mouth. The avatar, through the sweat on his face, he said that it was disgusting. The avatar stepped back and muttered, "That is expected." There was no fear or pain at all. Avatar suddenly swung the knife and used a mana strike, and also realized that everything here was exactly like in the game. A light trace remained from the attack, a splash of blood appeared. The avatar fell to the ground, killing his enemy. His dagger glowed brightly. The avatar raised his head and asked if it was hard for him because he hadn't leveled up enough, adding that he would be in big trouble if he stayed here and ran into another monster. Suddenly, Avatar's pupils narrowed. A village was visible in the distance. After a while, the village elder appeared, greeted him, and told him his name. Holding his hands behind his back, village elder said that walking along a forest path teeming with monsters and at a late hour, which impressed him, to which Avatar replied that he now had wounds all over his body. Scratching the back of his head, Hans asked if he could stop in the village for the night. The old man, closing his eyes, exclaimed that of course he could because they should help each other, and Avatar thanked him. The village elder, moving his legs, said that he saw such clothes and equipment for the first time and asked if he came from far away, and Avatar explained that he got a little lost, while he was gathering one after another, and ended up here. Village elder, closing his eyes, said that he was glad to meet an outsider in a long time and offered to drink at the tavern. After some time, Avatar appeared lying on the bed. The Avatar said that he was even given a room, and the longer he stays here, the more he thinks that the people here are very kind and wondered how much time has passed since the last time he was happy to communicate with others. Yawning widely, Avatar said that it was a good day. Suddenly, a stranger entered his room. Song happily raised a glass with a drink. Song, clenching his jaw, exclaimed that eating chicken after a shower, while traveling the other world is best. Song said that he felt a bit sorry for Heinz. The Avatar sighed heavily and Song said that the Avatar was currently training to use his durability skill and didn't know when he would have to send him away, so let him do it. Song smiled and said that it was all great, but no matter how hard the Avatars worked, he needed to learn more about what was going on in the other world and what kind of place it was. Song took out his laptop and thought that he would be a great leader. Suddenly, a glass of drink fell to the floor. Song felt something ominous. Suddenly, the system reported that the Avatar was dead and all skills and acquired data would be reset, which made Song with bulging eyes wonder if Hans had died.